I got a hate comment from a self-proclaimed happily married woman calling me a leftover woman because I'm in my 30s and not married. The term leftover woman comes from China and it compares single women in their late 20s to that of leftover food gone bad and nobody wants them. So medieval. Now what we're not going to do here is pit married women and single women against each other because that's really weird. But if you're in your 30s and you're not married, know that I'm right there with you, and comments like this don't bother me and they shouldn't bother you either. You are so much more than your relationship status, and your value is not defined by whether or not you're in a marriage. I promise you I don't have it all figured out, but I'm really content with who I am, who I'm learning to be. I'm happy with the choices that I've made and where I'm at in life right now. Like, I wanted kids my whole life, but there's so much I want to do and I'm not in a rush. But if that changes at some point, then I'll also act accordingly. I've always believed that everyone's on their own timeline, and it's so much more important to figure out what makes you happy and going after that rather than chase someone else's idea of happiness. Because what I've learned is the people who force their beliefs and expectations on you are just seeking validation for the choices that they've made in their life. And I'm not gonna live my life just to validate someone else's, and you shouldn't either. Whether it be a stranger, family, or friend, your life is yours. So for this week's Music Monday playlist, I've added songs that I hope inspire you to reflect on what really makes you happy and to go after it without shame. Be so happy that you don't need to go around projecting and leaving negative, hateful comments under videos of people that you don't even know.
I said, because I get you have options. You're handsome, you're successful, you will have options forever. So it really is in your hands, your fate. So you can tell me I'm great all you want, but you're not pursuing me, and I know why. Because I require too much. And that's all right. I'm okay with that.
What do you mean by that, though? What do you mean what do you require?
I require discipline and intention, and I require a level of like investment in terms of time. And you know what, it's like, you can say, oh, I took her to this restaurant, I took her to that restaurant, and I'd be like, well, what's my favorite color? There's no amount of dinners that you will ever buy for me that will get my panties off. So you really need to figure out what it is that you think you have to offer and what it is that you think I value, because it's never going to happen without real investment. I can do it myself. I can pay for whatever restaurant I want to go to myself.
Yeah.
I have a nice car. I have a nice house. I have friends. I have a successful career. So I am emancipated to a certain extent because those things don't entice me. So it kind of is a what do you bring to the table that's not material. That is something that's compelling.
I might just be the luckiest girl you know. Whew, I have a little burp. I just finished eating. I have chosen not to have children or a husband in this lifetime. And many of my friends are like, oh, you're so lucky. You got to do whatever you wanted to do. Oh, you're so lucky, blah, blah, blah. It's not luck. It's got nothing to do with it. I chose what I was going to do and then figured it out. I just figured it out. And you can do the same. But here I am. I'm entering my advanced years. I'm going to be 63 in January. I don't have a shitload of money. I got to figure out what it's going to look like. I don't have family. I can't depend on just random friends to take care of me, right? I got to have a plan. And so I've been thinking about it for a long time, and what I'm really realizing is there are other women in similar situations just like me. And together we can help each other out. I've had a fantasy for many years of having a tiny house community with maybe 6 or 8 or 10 women who all have their own tiny house, and we have shared space and we help each other age. That to me would be great because I want to have my own space. I don't want to be living like a lot of people. So I'm calling it the Golden Girls 2025 version of making it work, figuring out how I'm going to make it work for myself. And so I am hoping that this space can become a space to start that conversation. So I invite any of you who are listening and looking in. We're not here to criticize why I didn't do what everybody else did. I just made choices that were for me, and it's good. And I continue to support people that make choices for themselves as well. But let's start a conversation in the comments here about what's your plan? I mean, I look like I'm rich. I got rich friends. I'm just at their house. This is not my shit. Trust me. I just have very generous friends who let me stay at their house when they travel. Anyway, I got to put a plan together, and a tiny house community has always been something I've been thinking about. I don't want to live anywhere cold. There's a lot that comes with doing that, but what's your plan? What's your plan if you're like me, aging, got no family, no kids, not sure what you want to do? Tell me in the comments what you're going to do, and let's see if we can't find some way to get the conversation growing and maybe help each other out, because I think together we can make it happen. I am getting tired of hanging from the branch by myself, and I am ready to start creating a community of women, like-minded women, who still want to live, still want to work hard, play hard, and make shit happen. So put down what you're thinking in the comments, and let's get the conversation going. Peace out. Love you.
It's the women who are ending up with nothing. And the men they still somehow, in many cases, make their way around. But then you also have the men going their own way movement and the ones who aren't touching it, right? But you manage to get through the maze with everything, and then all these women are left over.
Yeah. And then you have the incels, right? You have those who are going to say, there's men who are they're not getting anything, right? Those who feel like they're left over. So you're going to have that population. But I understand what you're saying. Like at any point, there's not the same restraint of time biologically on men that there is women. That's just not debatable.
Yeah, but the women who are left over are incels too.
The conversation going around is bold, but it's hitting nerves for a reason. A growing number of men are stepping back and focusing on themselves, their purpose, their peace, and their standards. Meanwhile, many women are feeling the pressure of that shift because the dynamic has changed. For years, the narrative pushed independence without balance, strength without cooperation, and now the results are showing. What used to be effortless attention from men is no longer guaranteed, and that reality is uncomfortable. Some women are now realizing that the same independence they celebrated also comes with responsibility they didn't prepare for. There's also a hard conversation about equality that's being avoided. If everything is truly equal, then effort has to be equal too. That means approaching, building, investing, and even settling at times, just like men have done for generations. Yet many women still want traditional benefits without traditional roles, and that contradiction is where frustration starts. Men adapted quickly. They adjusted their expectations and moved differently. Women, on the other hand, are holding on to selective advantages while rejecting the full weight of equality. That imbalance is causing a disconnect that keeps growing wider. Another point that can't be looked away is how messaging over the years shaped behavior. For decades, men were told they were unnecessary, replaceable, or even a burden. Many listened carefully and made decisions based on that message. Some left entirely, seeking environments where they feel valued. Others chose solitude, faith, or personal growth over chasing relationships that feel one-sided. Now that the silence from men is louder than their presence used to be, the reaction has shifted from confidence to confusion. Instead of reflecting on past attitudes, blame is still being redirected outward. At the center of all this is accountability, and that's where the resistance lies. Growth requires ownership, not deflection. The current situation didn't appear overnight. It developed through years of choices, attitudes, and expectations that ignored long-term consequences. Men adjusted and moved accordingly. Women now face the outcome of those same choices, yet many refuse to connect the dots. Without accepting responsibility, nothing changes. The landscape stays the same, and the cycle continues, leaving more frustration, more division, and fewer genuine connections.
I can't switch the fact that we're only attracted to 20% of men. Okay, I can't change that. I can't change the fact that half of women, by 2030, this is 6 years away, half of women are going to be single and childless. This was a study done by bankers, not people that have a political agenda. So if you're married, women are going to be fighting for whoever you got. They're going to be, and the women already do that. Women want to be, I always say that if we banned side chicks, if we made it illegal or something, the first people that would complain are women. There are women that go to NBA games trying to get men to cheat on their wives. This is, if you have a guy that other women like, that's just what it's going to be. And, you know, I didn't make that world. This was the fault of our grandmothers and great-grandmothers. I didn't do it. 1 out of 3 men under 30 haven't had sex in the past year. What does that mean? Women are sharing men. And you see it like preemptively, because what do we have? We have situationships. What is that? It's sharing a guy. So it's like I didn't create this world. I'm just telling people what's going to happen. This is happening. It's already happening. It's just not out in the open yet.
That statement she made about 2030 is not just noise. It's a warning sign that many are brushing aside. Massive rising number of women are delaying family life, prioritizing short-term validation, and assuming time is always on their side. Biology doesn't adjust to modern opinions, and reality eventually steps in. While careers, lifestyle, and freedom have been pushed to the front, long-term consequences are now becoming clearer. Many are reaching a point where the options they once had are no longer available. Yet instead of reflecting on earlier choices, frustration is being redirected outward. That biblical reference paints a picture that sounds extreme, yet it reflects desperation created by imbalance. The idea of multiple women competing for one man, even lowering expectations just to secure a name and children, shows how far things can go when priorities are misplaced. For years, many rejected partnership, dismissed good men, and chased unrealistic standards. Now that the pool has changed and fewer men are willing to commit under those conditions, the tone is shifting. What once looked like confidence is slowly turning into urgency. A major part of this situation comes from decisions that were celebrated without thinking about long-term impact. Many women were encouraged to believe they could have everything on their own terms without compromise, without sacrifice, without consequence. That mindset created a cycle where good men were overlooked, stability was undervalued, and fleeting excitement was prioritized. Over time, that approach reduced meaningful options. Now that the results are visible, instead of revisiting those decisions, many continue pushing the same ideas that led to the problem in the first place. Responsibility is the missing piece in all of this. Growth starts with owning past actions and understanding how they shape the present. Ignoring that only leads to repeated outcomes. The current reality didn't appear suddenly. It built up through years of choices that pushed away balance, cooperation, and long-term thinking. Men adjusted and moved differently, focusing on environments where they feel respected and appreciated. Women now face the results of earlier decisions, and without accepting that connection, nothing improves. The situation remains the same, and the consequences only become more difficult to avoid.
I heard a stat today that has really just got my wheels spinning. Have you guys heard that by the year 2030, nearly half of U.S. women aged 25 to 44 are predicted to be single and childless? They're saying 45%, which is the largest percentage in history, up from 41% in 2018. Morgan Stanley actually published this study dubbed The Rise of the She Economy to analyze the demographic shift and to measure its impact on the economy. Basically, they used the study to tell investors how market demands were going to change and where they should be investing their money based on the spending habits of single women. Here's the interesting part. This shift is already shaping current consumer trends.
Invest in box wine, right? And invest in cat toys.
It's not just about cat toys and boxed wine for wine nights. Single women are already spending a significant amount of money on things like travel, tech, dining out, personal development. Might not sound like much, but it gets even bigger. By the year 2030, women are expected to control much of the $30 trillion in assets the baby boomers currently have. That's a massive economic influence, reshaping industries. While Wall Street and economists are analyzing this information to tell businesses and investors where they should be investing their money, you should be thinking about how you should shift, if you haven't already, your branding strategy to target this growing demographic.
The statistic about 2030 is being presented like a business opportunity, but it also reveals a deeper issue. More women choosing a single and child-free path is not just a lifestyle trend. It reflects a shift in priorities that comes with long-term consequences. Independence, personal comfort, and financial freedom are being pushed as the ultimate goals, while family, partnership, and legacy are slowly pushed aside. That decision may feel empowering in the moment, but time doesn't pause, and reality eventually checks those choices. Many are embracing this direction without fully thinking about what life looks like years down the line. The idea of turning this demographic into an economic force sounds smart from a marketing perspective, but it also shows how far things have gone. Instead of encouraging balance, growth, or meaningful relationships, the focus is now on selling comfort, self-focus, and temporary happiness. Women are being told to invest in themselves endlessly while ignoring the natural desire for companionship and family that often surfaces later. Businesses are adapting quickly because they see profit, but that doesn't mean the outcome benefits those living that lifestyle in the long run. A major reason behind this situation comes from choices that were made and celebrated without enough reflection. Many women were encouraged to prioritize freedom over responsibility, excitement over stability, and personal gain over partnership. Good men were often overlooked during that process, while unrealistic expectations became the standard. Over time, those decisions narrowed real options. Now, instead of questioning those earlier choices, the same mindset is being repackaged and promoted as progress, even though the results are already showing cracks. Responsibility sits at the center of everything happening right now. The current direction didn't appear overnight. It developed through years of decisions that ignored long-term impact. Men have adjusted by stepping back, focusing on purpose, or choosing different environments where they feel valued. Women are now facing the outcome of the path they embraced, yet many refuse to connect those results to their own actions. Without owning those decisions, nothing improves. The cycle continues, and the gap between expectation and reality only grows wider.
Yesterday, it was so many women celebrating being single and without men. I really don't believe that most women are single because they want to be. Women are choosing themselves because men aren't stepping up to the plate to embrace marriage anymore, to embrace commitment anymore. The women I talk to want to be in relationships, but the men that they have attracted and wanted to play games, didn't want to commit. And then the men that liked them, they didn't like them. I could be wrong, but I really think men act the way they do because of women. I mean, what's there to work for? If I'm going to take you out to dinner and you're going to give it up to me the first night, I done got what I wanted. I don't have to chase. I don't have to bring nothing to the table. Of course, it's easy for me to just hit it and quit it and go on. Whereas if women would go back to making men wait, not giving it up so easy. I think this is one reason men think all women are whores, because we give it up so easy. Men that all women want, they don't want to commit because they already getting what they want out of women. They getting to sleep with you, getting you to buy them stuff, all for free. And then the women who have raised their standards and won't do those things, they can't find a man that's even on their level. So it's like a catch-22. I understand why there were so many women celebrating themselves yesterday, but I really don't think most women want to be single. They're single because the alternative is not what they would want it to be. The ones I've talked to who choose to be single are single because they have been traumatized so by the men that they have been with in their past. Men who wouldn't commit, men who played with them, men who trampled all over their feelings and emotions and who hurt them. Women don't want to live the way their grandparents lived anymore, where the women lived miserably for years and years and years, doing all the housework, having no help, not being celebrated, not being loved, not being cherished. Women don't want to live that way anymore, so I can't really blame them.
The celebration of being single on Valentine's Day caught attention because it didn't feel natural. It felt like a reaction. Many women are presenting independence as a victory, but deep down that choice often comes from disappointment rather than genuine preference. Social media made it easy to mask loneliness with confidence, turning personal situations into public statements. Instead of addressing why relationships are not working, the focus has shifted to glorifying the outcome. That approach avoids hard questions and replaces reflection with temporary comfort. There are claims that the kind of men many women desire are unwilling to commit, but that doesn't happen without reason. Standards have been raised in one direction while effort has been reduced in another. Some women expect exclusivity, attention, and provision while offering little in return. At the same time, casual behavior has been normalized, making commitment less appealing for men who have options. When access is easy and expectations are unbalanced, serious relationships lose their value. That situation didn't appear randomly. It developed through repeated choices that shaped how men respond today. Past experiences are often used to explain current attitudes, yet holding on to pain without growth creates a cycle that blocks better outcomes. Some women carry emotional damage into new situations without healing, leading to distrust, conflict, and unrealistic demands. Others reject compromise completely, refusing to accept that no relationship is perfect. Previous generations understood that building something meaningful required patience, sacrifice, and cooperation. Now, many dismiss those ideas while still expecting strong, lasting partnerships, which creates a contradiction that leads to disappointment. Wanting a partner who shows care and respect is valid, but expecting that while ignoring personal responsibility keeps the problem going. Relationships require balance, effort, and self-awareness from both sides. Many women demand high standards, but avoid looking inward to see where they may be falling short. Men have adjusted by stepping back, choosing peace over stress, or walking away entirely. The result is more women left trying to explain their situation instead of correcting the behaviors that contributed to it. Without ownership, nothing improves, and the same frustrations continue to repeat.